Ladies and gentlemen, I am so excited to be bringing you guys today my first official top 10 wide receiver rankings for the 2022 NFL wide receiver draft class. We're very early in the process. This is just version 1.0. I'm going to go super in depth with my top 7 guys, give you an NFL comparison for all of them, and then I'm going to show you my overall top 10 big board, which is color coded. It's super legit on a spreadsheet. Let's get into it right now. My top 7 receivers. Starting with number 7, it's going to be Jameson Williams. Maybe a little bit of a surprise to some people. I've got him comped to Henry Ruggs III. Maybe a little lazy that, they're from the same school. They're both speed guys. But the thing is with Jameson Williams, even before the injury, I probably would have had him as my wide receiver 6 or wide receiver 7. Don't love wide receivers like this who are just straight speed guys. Very little route tree. A player like this, in my estimation, has to go to a specific team that specifically needs a speed, deep threat wide receiver. He can't just go to a bad wide receiver room and make it good. That's kind of what they tried with Henry Ruggs III. And, on the field, it wasn't working out for him. We know what happened off the field, but even on the field, it wasn't really working out as a first-round pick, the numbers he was producing in those first few years. So he comes in at number 7 on my list. Moving to number 6, it's Wan'Dale Robinson, the all-purpose back from Kentucky, and my original comp for him was Deebo Samuel. But unfortunately, he's just too small. I believe Wan'Dale Robinson is 5'11". One of the most interesting measurements of the 2022 Combine will be what is Wan'Dale Robinson's height. If he's 6 foot, to me, he's a first-round pick. The explosiveness, the elusiveness, the ability to make people miss in small areas. He's an all-purpose back. He can run. He can catch. Very Deebo Samuel-esque. Unfortunately, he's a smaller guy, so my NFL comp is Curtis Samuel for Wan'Dale Robinson. I've probably got him ranked higher than other people because I believe in, his overall explosiveness and his wiggle. His overall ability to make people miss. This was a big-time recruit that a lot of people wanted coming out of high school, and he ended up committing to Nebraska, staying there, and then transferring to Kentucky. Had a great year in the SEC last year. He is number 6 on my list. Number 5, it's going to be Treylon Burks. A lot of people have this guy as their number 1 overall receiver. I've got him as number 5, and I love my NFL comp I have for Treylon Burks. It is Corey Davis. Bigger receiver, but I think one of the main things Treylon Burks is going to struggle with at the NFL level is creating separation, which is a huge problem if you want to be an elite receiver in the NFL. It seems like Treylon Burks has kind of taken over the role, at least in this wide receiver class, as kind of the freak DK Metcalf guy. I don't think it's Burks. I think it's George Pickens. And George Pickens right now is not on my top 7 wide receivers list due to the injury, due to him being out all of last year. He came back, in the playoff, played a few snaps. But George Pickens, if you're looking for a freak like a Calvin Johnson, DK Metcalf, big, hulking, muscly guy that's also really fast, I think it's more George Pickens than it is Treylon Burks. A lot of people are trying to put Burks into that category. I think it's Pickens, and that's why, this is just my 1.0 release. We'll see what Pickens does at the Combine, but he could be moving up into my top 5 receivers list. Burks, on the other hand, to me, more Corey Davis than he is DK Metcalf. I think he's going to struggle to get separation at the NFL level. I will be curious to see what his 40 time is. Number 4 is Chris Olave, and I've got him comped to Jarvis Landry when he was in Miami. One word to describe Chris Olave is smooth. He's a very smooth receiver, really good route runner. Did struggle a few drops this past year at Ohio State. It wasn't just a few. I think he had like 4 or 5 drops. But overall, my main concern with Chris Olave is his weight and just overall ability to take hits in the NFL. It seemed like he was shying away from contact at the college level, which could be a major issue when transitioning to the NFL. If there's some advice I'd give Chris Olave, put on weight, put on muscle. You need to become stronger in the NFL. He was looking, Chris Olave looked a little bit smaller at the college level. Imagine what happens when he goes to the NFL. He's going to look tiny. He needs to put on muscle. He needs to put on size. But this is a receiver. There's just some receivers that have an innate ability to get open. Chris Olave is one of those. He comes in at number 4, and I don't think the Jarvis Landry comparison is that good. He's more of a deep threat than Jarvis Landry was. He really is, but he comes in at number 4. Number 3, it is David Bell, and I love this NFL comp of Cooper Kupp. Both of these guys, very, very similar in the draft process, and you're going to see a theme with my top receivers. They're not elite at one thing, but they're really good at everything, and David Bell is very good at everything. And I would love to see David Bell in the slot when he gets to the NFL. This is a guy that was a top recruit. You know, a lot of people think he went to Purdue. He's not that, you know, he was a 3-star or whatever. No, this was a top recruit that a lot of significant Power 5 schools wanted. He ends up going to Purdue and just being such a consistent producer for the past 2 years, both his sophomore and junior year, putting up great numbers, a little bit bigger than Rondale Moore. Well, a lot bigger than Rondale Moore considering how small he is. Maybe a little less wiggle, but overall, this is the exact type of receiver to fall through the cracks like a Cooper Kupp, like a Michael Thomas, where they're not elite at, you know, one specific thing. Like Jameson Williams has elite speed. Treylon Burks has elite size. You know, David Bell doesn't really have anything that's overall elite. Neither did Michael Thomas. Neither did Cooper Kupp. Neither did Justin Jefferson. These receivers, it does not matter. The number one goal to be an elite receiver in the NFL is the ability to create separation. David Bell has that. He's my number 3 receiver. He's going to be a stud in the NFL. Number 2, it is the big-bodied Drake London, who I believe is 6'6". He's huge. My NFL comp is either Michael Thomas or Mike Evans. Due to him being 6'6", he might be more Mike Evans than Michael Thomas. This is a great possession receiver, and the one thing I'll say about Drake London, he's a quarterback's dream. Quarterback's dream, big-bodied, huge target, almost tight end type, you know, target with how big he is, how tall he is. And he's got soft hands, very good catching the ball. You take a look at his stats this past year at USC before he got injured. You know, a lot of people haven't talked about Drake London's stats because he got injured, but he, you know, his first 6 or 7 games with USC this year, it was crazy. This guy is so consistent. He is, if you want a big-bodied receiver that's going to be consistent, Drake London is the guy. He's my number 12 overall player, number 2 overall receiver in the draft. He comes in at number 2. And number 1, was there any doubt? It is Garrett Wilson, who I have comped to Calvin Ridley, the best route runner in the draft, and it's not even close. And once again, Garrett Wilson, no, he does not have elite size. No, he does not have elite speed. But you know what? He does have elite separation ability, elite route running. He is the best route runner of the 2022 class. And if you want a player, any player, not just receiver, any player to be an absolute stud, guaranteed, Garrett Wilson will be an absolute guaranteed star in the NFL based on his route running ability, based on his ability to create separation in small spaces. If you do not have Garrett Wilson as a number 1 receiver, you are crazy, and you need to start actually paying attention which receivers all around are great. David Bell all around is a great receiver. Garrett Wilson all around is a great receiver. Drake London all around is a great receiver. You take a look at guys like Burks. People are ranking Burks number 1 because he's tall. And he's athletic. People are ranking Jameson Williams high because he's fast. You know, you see guys like John Ross get picked 9th overall because they're fast. You see guys like Corey Davis get picked 5th overall because they're tall. How does that work out for them? You know, so it's like, go with the overall, all-around best receiver. Those are the guys that are having success right now at the NFL level. Now, guys, what you are looking at right now is my official top 10 big board. During my next update, when I do my wide receiver rankings again, probably after the combine, this will get updated and expanded to a top 15 board. But as you can see, the same top 7 overall players with the same comps. Actually, I changed the Chris Olave comp right now to Adam Thielen. So maybe, I don't know. We'll have to see if I change that again. But number 8 right now, another very interesting prospect, George Pickens. We'll see what he does at the combine. It's going to be a huge combine for him. If he runs well, he could basically become a first-round lock. And I could very easily move him inside my top 5. I've got him compared once again, DK Metcalf. A lot of people want to compare Burks to like the DK Metcalf of the class. I think George Pickens is the DK Metcalf. He's 6'3", so is Burks. There you can see Drake London is 6'5", which is crazy. David Bell 6'2", Olave 6'1". Garrett Wilson, I think he's closer to 6'1" than he is 5'11". We'll see what he measures at exactly at the combine. And then Wan'Dale Robinson, the major height concern. If he measures 5'10 and a half, 5'11", 6 foot, it's going to be interesting. I've got him comped to Curtis Samuel. And then my number 9 receiver right now, John Mechie III from Alabama, 6 foot, so not that tall, but overall kind of like a Jarvis Landry possession type receiver. I like him a lot. And then Jahan Dotson, who I have compared to KJ Hamler. I actually thought KJ Hamler was a better prospect. The major issue with Dotson is overall durability. He's 5'11 as well. He needs to put on some weight as muscle in the weight room when it comes to going to the NFL. But as you guys can see, just my top 10 overall receivers. The first 3 guys will very likely not be changing. I mean, Garrett Wilson is going to be my number 1 receiver throughout the entire draft process. I can already say that. Drake London, extremely likely going to be my number 2. Again, this comparison to Mike Thomas, I think Drake London is more Mike Evans. And then David Bell is another guy. These 3 guys are basically locked in. These 3 guys right here are locked in. And then 4 through 10, there's going to be some changes, no doubt, when we get to the combine, when we actually see these guys run and just the draft process overall evolve. So we will see what ends up happening. But those are just my top 10 big board wide receivers for 2022 right now. Make sure you guys are following me on Twitter. Link to that's always in the description. I'm, of course, the Depressed Ginger. Thank you for watching.